All right. It's a bit dark, but it's a bit dark, but it'll work.
All right, start this shit.
Is it recording? You never hear from Michael?
Go. No, it's recording. Hey, everybody, be quiet. We're going to go through the Constitution real quick. We decided to, instead of submitting amendments, we decided that we were going to just rewrite it again. It's basically the same Constitution with some minor additions. All right, the first addition that you'll see is that we changed what a member is and what a member can in fact do. A member is defined as anyone who has signed a lowly waiver and has paid dues if they are charged for the term. Okay? Basically, you can be a non-member if you don't pay your dues. So, pay your dues. All right? We got rid of the whole entire registration and participate for at least one academic event per year, because if we're charging dues, if you pay the dues, you should go to the events because you paid to go to the events, but if you don't want to, no big deal. All right? Scrolling. All right? We added it on because there was the possibility that a multitude of people would, start spawning tier 3 games so they'd get more votes in tier 2 games. So we decided that we were going to kibosh that right at the get-go, and you may not have more than one elected or appointed voting position. So if I were to run for president, vice president, and HVZ administrator, and won all three in some miraculous scoop, I would only account for one vote. All right? You guys, as the populace, probably don't care that much. It's actually a semi-important thing on the exec board. We added 2 new sections to the president. The president will have the power necessary and proper to continue the smooth functioning of the UGL upon approval of the exec board. Such as, let's say we have a resignation, the president will now have the official capacity to call for an election and/or, if the exec board approves, appoint somebody depending on how much time of the term is left. The president may intervene in situations where reasonable safety and legality are in jeopardy. During the HBC games, we had several instances, though minor and unfortunate, that people would go running out into the streets to try and get a kill as a zombie, or humans would chase zombies into the streets. The president would then have the authority to act as part of the mod staff to get rid of that and make sure that that kind of thing does not happen in case mods and or administrator are not present to witness such things. Tier 1, vice president, we added the word of because it made it grammatically correct. And that just irked most of us there, and we're like, damn ourselves. Okay, Tier 1, Section A, determines the schedule, budget, and rules of assigned events, coordinates one fundraising and or charitable initiative per academic semester. Okay, this is a new thing. Every time you're elected, you're going to have one. It doesn't take much. It's pretty straightforward. You don't really have much reading into it. All right, and if you don't do that, it's an offense that can in fact get you removed. Remember that. All right, we took out Section M, which is coordinate one fundraising and or charitable initiative per academic. You are now to...
we added that to be
we moved it. Sorry.
We just moved it.
Yeah, we moved it.
So you have to submit it at the beginning with the budget.
Yeah, submit it with your budget. If you want any special requests and help for it, submit it as soon as you can. Yay.
Typos.
Typos galore. All right, we put it to a lowercase g because, again, typos bother us. Parliamentarian. It used to be that the parliamentarian had to be invited to come to exec board meetings. Now it is a requirement for the parliamentarian to be at the exec board meetings, and they have to follow the same attendance policy that the other exec board members do. If not, you will be terminated. Okay? I don't exactly know why we did this.
We started to change.
We didn't like the word child, and then we got rid of it, and then we added it back in again because there was the word parent in it.
All right, that's fair enough.
Yeah.
Don't pay attention to it. It doesn't exist.
It's pretty in pink.
Okay.
Is
We
that-
added a new Section C and got rid of Section D. Section C reads, when necessary, those interested in being a chair for a committee will submit a written application to the exec board who will vote to appoint the best candidate. Committees are necessary for exploring new game opportunities that there might arise for the UGL, such as if Ultimate Frisbee wishes to become game. Okay, we'll have a committee go talk to the Ultimate Frisbee people. They can come, and that committee will more or less get the game funded, started up, and bring it into the UGL fold if we want. Since that doesn't have to be standing or is necessary all the time, we can have a list of people that would love to be in committees and be the chairs of those committees, and then we can just call them up and be like, hey, we got this committee. Would you like to be the chair of it? Yeah, sure. Okay, we want to vote on you when you come to the next exec board meeting. Coolio, go. All right. We have actually done the first substantial change in the Constitution. We are changing the president and vice president to, instead of following the calendar year, which starts on January 1st and ends December 31st, they will follow the academic year. And we decided to have the start date of May 15th and the end date of May 14th the following year, just so we have a very definitive number. That should be after almost every academic year, so it's no big deal. This means that this coming up election will only be for one semester. So the president, whoever that might be, will only function for a singular semester. All right. Election proceedings will happen at least 4 weeks before the end of the current academic semester. The way it was worded last time, it would be held exactly 4 weeks, and we realized that could become problematic depending on how the university does it, with breaks and various other holidays and whatnot. So we decided to have that. And we also dictated that the president has the power to call emergency elections as necessary. That's going to be a presidential power only, so whoever the president might be, somebody resigns, they can be like, okay, elections in a week, all right? So it's a lot of power in them, but we have faith when we elect them, hopefully. As you can see, nothing really else happens. Here we go. Dues, initiation fees, and donations. We determined that the exec board will be the ultimate say in what dues are, but we also limited dues. Dues cannot exceed more than $5 per academic semester. So if you don't know what that means in layman's terms, dues cannot be more than $10 a year. Okay? That's still one of the cheapest, most reasonable rates on campus. The Constitution that's currently passed, there is no cap on it, so if somebody wants to, and they want to write for a whole organization, they could raise it to $500 an academic semester. And we don't like that, so we put a cap in. All right? Nick, you need to be sure that there's some good background music during these school for us.
What's section 4, number 3M?
I don't really know.
4 isn't actually there. 4 was stricken, and the May shifted up.
Yeah, it was supposed to shift up, and it didn't for some reason. So
We deleted everything except for the capital M. And
Yeah.
then M went to May, and then yada yada.
So it says may be a fundraising or charitable event, or either, or neither.
okay. Basically, this is special events, so your invitationals, Dusk Till Dawn, a capture the flag that's held for a charitable event will fall under these categories, and they can be led by a designated person. That's not necessarily the elected administrator. This basically says what they can do and what they can't do, all right? So you don't really have much to worry about there. We just outlined it a little bit more and made it less wordy. This is a substantially important thing. Earlier we dictated what a member was, okay? And as you can see in this, the only people that can now vote after this Constitution passes, so after this coming up election cycle, assuming this Constitution passes, are members. So when you pay your dues, you actually pay for your ability to vote in this organization. The administrators themselves are left with the dictating power, so if you don't want to pay your dues, you could theoretically still go to games. The administrator will be able to kick you out, but they can't force you to pay, more or less, all right? When you pay, you're paying for your ability to vote, all right? And this goes for both general elections and policy elections, okay? Policy elections are constitutional amendments, voting on the Constitution itself. Do we want to submit to the exec board this amendment change? Okay, yes we do. Exec board says, yeah guys, go ahead with it. And they want, then you must approve it by a majority vote, all right? The general quorum is elections must have at least 50% plus one of dues paying members participate. Basically, this isn't so that the president can't pull a fast one on us. Say election's going to happen in the next 10 minutes and only 3 people vote and then they get all their friends in after people resign. So basically, if we have 20 people on the roster as full due paying members that have the right to vote, That means 11 of them have to participate in the elections before the elections are considered legitimate. If not, the elections will have to start all over again. We don't like that. Section 3, we added the president, and this is what it says. If a clear and present need is determined, the exec board shall have the authority to overrule decisions made by an administrator of any game, the president, or decisions made by any committee. Basically, now the exec board has the ability to check the president. So if the president says, I'm going to dissolve the organization, and the exec board's like, hey, no, we vote that you don't, the president no longer can dissolve the entire organization. So, yay for no dissolving. We cut out here committee chair because it was redundant. The committee chair of the investigation committee will be the parliamentarian. The committee shall consist of members of the UGL chosen by the parliamentarian who are not on the exec board. It doesn't make sense that the parliamentarian is the chair of it, and then he also chooses another chair, and everybody else is the chair of the committee, because that just becomes complicated quickly.
Musical chairs.
What?
Musical chairs.
Musical chairs. Lovely, lovely. Same problem arose here. Basically what accidentally happened was when we wrote it originally, it was removed from office, we copy-pasted directly and didn't think twice about it. So it said officer a second time, so we put that to member/player. A member, remember, is somebody who's paid their dues. A player is just anybody who would like to play and has signed a waiver. Alright? And again, the Constitution will become effective upon 3/4 vote of the voting membership. Okay? At the current point, everybody that's on our roster gets a vote. If this Constitution passes, then you have to pay dues to get to vote. That's an important thing to remember. Are there any questions? Yes?
Considering about 90% of our elections, less than 50% of the people vote, how is this going to turn out when now we need 51%?
Very, very painful.
Because that means we'll, in theory, just have consistent loophole elections where it's like, we're running an election. All right, we didn't have enough. We rerun the election. All right, we didn't have enough.
The thought process was if you're wanting to pay dues, then you're going to vote.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, fit less than 50% vote, but we have that many people, but only a certain number have paid dues.
All right.
It's 50% plus one of people that have paid dues. So if
So-
they pay, they probably care enough to vote.
At least that's the hope and philosophy behind it. It's not a foolproof plan, but none of the systems are. This just seems to be the best, so that after giving the president a power, we had to put a check somewhere, and that was the most logical check. It presents its own unique series of challenges, just like you outlined. That is a relatively extreme case, as they point out. You know, if you pay your $5, you probably want the right to vote. All right, because you are now actually monetarily invested in the organization, so you might as well dictate what the policies are and what they do with your money. All right. Are there any other questions? Yeah.
Does this Constitution have a Bill of Rights?
No, you got no rights. Actually, it's a very nice part. At the beginning of it, it says we'll follow state law, federal law, and city law. So your Bill of Rights is written in without having to be written in.
We can't tax you with that representation.
Did we ever determine who would lead the investigative board if the parliamentarian was under investigation?
That was actually one of the things that was not ever discussed, and that would be an extraneous circumstance. If the parliamentarian was under investigation, the parliamentarian should resign. That's, you'd have a hope and a prayer. That's something that can be constitutionally amended later.
We still
Again,
have to
this-
find one next semester.
Yeah, you guys gotta find one. I'm done at the end of the year.
Realistically, if there's a problem with the parliamentarian, we can just remove the parliamentarian. The exec board can just.
The exec
dismiss
board
it.
can throw out the parliamentarian and assign a new one, so there are ways to remove the parliamentarian
Okay.
without using judicial process.
Or we could just make a different committee to investigate him and assign the chair.
All right. Are there any other questions, comments, concerns? Is Jules going to turn into a Jedi Lord? I'm not sure.
Nope. Sith bitch.
Questions? Come on, you two. I've been watching you converse for the last 45 seconds. You and Paul. Not you, Stephen. Benji.
I looked back, I never actually said anything.
We literally didn't say anything.
We asked what year you were.
All right. All right. That's it then. We're good. Nick, get rid of shit.
Nick, do you want the chair next to the camera, bro?
No, not rid of that. Get rid of that.
So next to the camera, so you don't have to get up and like walk.
Let's get rid of that. Let's just start.